Welcome back to Power Platform PhD. Today we're going to cover SVGs and components in our continuing series on Power App themes. Okay, welcome back to the third in our series on Power Platform themes. This one video is going to be a little bit different than the other ones in the sense that I've already done a lot of this stuff and I just want to walk you through it. I don't want you to have to see me paste in type code or whatever. So first of all, let's go through a little rundown of what we did the last time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run. As you can see, we have these 4 bars, and these are all based off of the theme. So we have a default theme that starts off with the orange theme, but we can go ahead and select a different one. So we'll go to media. In the last video, we created 3 of these to allow you to choose between the different themes. So this was a custom one called Valentine's. If you click on that, you can see the 4 bars change, and the whole theme kind of changes based off of that one selection. And then I have it to where if I go to media again and we select, let's say, Power Apps, then it is now the Power Apps theme. We'll do it one more time, and we'll go ahead and select SharePoint, the SharePoint theme. And so if we go back and look at the code, how are we doing this? So the main thing is that we have a screen that takes us to the second screen. If I click on this image here, we can kind of see the code that on select. It go ahead and sets this variable var theme to the Valentine's theme. And so on our app on start, we have the same thing, creation of that variable. Then under the theme, we actually just have that variable posted for that actual property. So every time we change it, so if this one becomes Power Apps, this one becomes SharePoint, this one becomes Valentine's, all inside of that one variable. Okay, let's take a step back here and kind of go explain a little bit more on how we did this. So under screen 1, we have these 2 buttons here. So the first one I named media, and the second one SVG, because I have 2 strategies of how we want to do this. So the first one was the down and dirty, quick, easy way. So if you click on media, it'll take you to the second screen, which is the media screen. And if I go to that screen, you'll see that I basically have a triplicate of this sort of like image that leads you back to changing the profile, which you've seen in the first couple of videos of how we did that. So if I select this image right here, you'll see that it's selecting from the media these different images. And so if I were to change it to Power Platform, as you can see, it takes the Power Platform image. I can put it back to V for Valentine's. And so that's coming from this media that you can upload. So they're just PNGs. I've taken screen captures. And the way I did this one was I just went to the media and then the theme section. So under these themes, these are the ones that are internal. So you can't really show this to your personnel that are, your end users. So the way I did is I just took a screen capture of this and then uploaded it into the media. And then as you can see here, I can select which one I want, and that's that. And so when I run this again, just kind of show you, it's going to take me back to the page, the initial page, and then it's changed the theme to the Valentine's. And then now if I go back to media again, we say SharePoint, it's back to SharePoint. So you can't really notice it when I run it again. So I'm going to go back to this. But the first time you run it, when it isn't cached, it has to go ahead and fetch those images. So if I select media, oh, there you go. There is a little bit of delay still. So that's the thing we're trying to avoid by having this third screen that allows us to go ahead and use SVGs. The bandwidth is a lot less. And so I'm going to kind of show you how we went through that as well. Oh, actually, let me just run real quick and we can kind of see. Let me go back, select the SVG. So it really kind of almost looks the same thing. As you can see, these are all components. So I have one component that then I modify in design time and set these properties so that we can see this the way we want to. This is an actual SVG, so this is not a PNG. It's not a huge bandwidth, and it's scalable, which is what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. Okay, so let's take a moment to look at what we have to do in terms of these components. Again, this is not going to be a deep dive on components. I'll definitely create a new series and a bunch of videos on that and do a really good understanding of components, how you can use them, etc. Same thing with SVGs. There's so much to cover. But for the purpose of this video, you'll click on this components tab. You can select on a new component, and it should create a new component for you. This is basically like kind of like your Canvas app where you can drop in, insert your different containers, controls, whatever, etc. Again, we're not going to go over that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this and kind of show you how I did it with my version. So I created one theme component, and here I'll expand this so we can kind of see it does utilize some containers for aligning my stuff inside my little component. I made it 300 by 300 over here to the right. If you see that, I also have 3 custom properties, and that's really where all the functionality comes from. So what I've done is I've added this image, and I've added a text field that we can. Actually, I think this is a button. Yeah, it's a button because it's going to allow me to then take an event and click. When you click on it, it's going to take you back. So let's look at those properties again. So these are the custom properties, and again, there's a lot to go over when it comes to these custom properties. But the main thing is that you'll have to name it. There will be like an internal name, a data type, whether it's an input or output properties. Again, this is something that we'll definitely cover in a different video. But I'll go over these 3. So the first one is the theme name, and the data type is text. If I click on this, it'll expand, and you can edit what I currently put in there. So I gave it a display name as theme name. This is the internal name. Description, you don't have to fill that out. I mean, it does have a thing. It gives you a kind of out of the box, a custom property thing, but you can modify this and give it your own description. And then the data type, the property type, and then the property definition, and then the actual data type. And this is the one that you're really going to change to reflect what you're trying to do. So since I'm really just trying to capture the name of the theme that we want to use, I'm just putting it in as text as the data type. For the next one, self-explanatory that this is an image, and if I click on it, it opens up. You'll see that that's the data type, and this is where we're going to want to actually pass in that image. So going back to the first scenario where I'm using those PNGs from the media upload, it's just looking for an image and it's taking it from there. But SVGs are kind of text fields, but no, not text fields. It's text that will paste into the image property, and you'll see how we do that and how that functions. But it is still an image in terms of the data type. And then the last thing is this set profile theme, and this is what I use for behavioral stuff. So again, display name, you don't really touch any of this stuff. The main thing is that the property type is an event. And again, in the future video, we'll go over all these different types between data, function, event, action. But this one's an event. And so what we're doing is we're going to click on the image or click on this text button down here, and that event's going to fire. And then we're going to fill out on the front end of this, when we're implementing the actual component, we'll say what that event is going to do. And so we're just going to do a back button, but the back function, but we'll see that here in a second. So that's pretty much it. Again, this is a very really quick overview of how I did this, but we'll 100% go into a deep dive into creating components, and it's really fun actually. So let's see, let's go back to the screens here real quick, and we'll show the implementation. So what I ended up doing, again, I used the same template that we used for the first one, but then under the main container, all I did was just add a component. So here's the first one, the second one, the third one, and just to kind of show you what that would look like, again, over here, you can kind of see how I put in the theme name, the theme image. It says none, but if you click on it, you can go up here and you'll see this this code that I kind of pasted in for all of that information. The reason why it's showing it like this is because I'm using a variable, and I'll show you how I did that up front on the app side. So it's an actual formula. Let's see, let's go to formulas, and if I scroll down, these are the variables. So this variable has a whole bunch of SVG stuff. Before I go a little bit into this, I just want to back up again real quick on the component side of things. So let me close this out real quick. I just wanted to show that, yeah, so these are your components. We'll go look at that SVG thing here in a second, but if I wanted to add another one, I would just go to the top of the container, say insert. I would now go to my custom component, so under custom, and then it's called theme component, and then I would add it like that. And so if I wanted to add a fourth one, I could say, hey, look, the theme name, I don't know, we'll call this PhD. And I could select from this image, which I'll go ahead and do that just because I don't have another variable out there. Um, or I could just do the variable one if I wanted to. Instead of sample image, I could go this SVG and we'll do the Valentine's one. So we have bookends for the Valentine's one. So now that you've seen how you can add and you can go and delete these and move these around or whatever. But now we'll go back to the formula. I just wanted to show you a little bit of what that SVG code looks like and what I ended up doing. So again, here I used a variable, but then on the app side under formulas, I pasted in all my SVG code. Again, under the SVG videos that I'm gonna have, I'll go way more in depth on this, explaining what these are, why you have to use the encode URL stuff, why you have to do the substitute JSONs. There's a big difference between single quotes and double quotes, et cetera, et cetera. But just for a quick glance at it, if you can see right now, I have this Valentine's theme, and this is really just doing the main parts of that image to where I had the big box and then like the four little boxes. And so think of it as this. So here's the big one, and then these next four are the little ones. And all I'm doing is saying, hey, lighter 20, this is my primary. Um, this is my lighter 50. This is my darker 20. And those all correlate and get some real estate to these little four squares here. So all I'm doing is dynamically based off of the theme, adding it to that image, for lack of a better term. So again, this is like a string. SVGs are a little bit wonky in terms of having to deal with the string, but they're very performant, and it's a good way to go in a lot of situations, a lot of scenarios. So, and again, we'll cover that in the SVG series that's upcoming. Well, this concludes our third part in a four-part series on Power App themes. Stay tuned next time as we use SharePoint as the backend to cache a profile. Please click the like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.